live? Beautiful day. Slight breeze. I hope that doesn't affect the audio. We'll see what happens. But beautiful day for a quick stream. Come on, bud. Yeah, I was hoping to do a stream this morning, but the children did not allow it, so I had a few minutes here. I figured I'd take a little break, take the dog on a walk, and come to you, the people. But yeah, I did a post this morning on critical thinking. And you know, one of the things parents ask a lot about is, how do I make Johnny a critical thinker? Well, I mean, the first answer is just to keep him out of public school. But really, a child's entire education should be about critical thinking. And the post I made this morning basically said that a worthy education focuses on the attainment of knowledge over any specific knowledge itself. And to me, that is so important. That when children go to public school, right, what do they learn? They learn, when they learn English, they sit down and they're told, hey, Rebecca, right? When children are in English class, they sit down and they're told, hey, Elisa, they say, this is a verb and this is a noun, now memorize this. Or when children are in history, on this date, this man did this, and they're fed a narrative. And then you have to regurgitate that narrative, and if you do it, okay, well now you know history. When they learn science, they're told, Albert Einstein was really smart, and he said E equals mc squared, and you can repeat that, and now you know science. But none of that teaches critical thinking. And when we educate our children, well, everything should focus on the ability to attain knowledge. Because, you know, what you memorize is nice, but when you get out in the real world, it's people who can learn on the fly, who can adapt to the world, learn new skills, that are really able to find a lot of success in the world. And that comes from the way in which you're educated. So, history, for example. When your child studies history, I don't care about telling them about some battle happened on some date, and now I'm going to tell you why it happened, and you're going to repeat that back to me. No, I mean, if you're going to learn about World War II, right? I want you to read the primary correspondence of FDR, right? I want you to read, dare I say it, the primary writings of Adolf Hitler. Because when children study history, what you're supposed to do is read one side of history, then read what the other people were saying, and then the children can use their discernment and their critical thinking to form their own unique understanding of what actually occurred. And this, anyway, I like to use the Hitler example because everyone's literally Hitler, but how many people do you know that have actually read his work? And no, I'm not promoting Hitler. I don't like him. He's a bad guy. But the point is that you should read both sides, and children could form their own unique understanding of what happened in history. When children learn science, they shouldn't repeat things that alleged smart people said. That's absurd. Science should be done through method. Children should be out in nature, observing, categorizing, breaking things down for themselves, notebooking, studying bugs, examining their parts. What makes a bug able to fly? They should be doing all these things. They should be doing the scientific method. They should have formed their own hypothesis and set up experiments and test things out and become masters of how the world actually works. When children learn English, they should read history, read science, read fiction, read nonfiction, and they should write. They should have journals in which they write about their life. They should do assignments where they write about the things they read and they write their own unique theories down. And then when it's time to grade their work, a teacher with a red pen shouldn't sift through it and say, this is right, this is wrong. You get an A, Sally. You get a C, Johnny. That doesn't teach children. But if they're reading constantly, right? They're reading every day and they're thinking critically and forming their own unique theories. And then you're having them write every day and grade their own writing. And maybe you sit down with them and you go over, okay, what did you do with the noun here? What did you do with the verb? Why did you put a comma here? Why did you put a period here? You start doing that from when they're young, and they will start to be able to correct their own work and improve their own grammar. And then when you get into the habit of focusing on your own grammar, which public school does not allow children to do, something funny happens. When you read books, you pick up on the writing styles and the grammatical styles and the way that very talented authors put together their own writing, and then you start to adapt that into your writing. Hey there, legend. I was talking about teaching children critical thinking, so I thought I'd do the most triggering thing possible and suggested that children read Mein Kampf. I know some people's heads explode. Like, what does he mean? Well, I also recommend children read the Communist Manifesto, and I don't exactly like Karl Marx. It's about children actually understanding history. It's about children becoming critical thinkers and forming their unique understanding, and it shouldn't stop there, because it should just be their entire education. From the time children are little, you should follow their interest. What does little Johnny want to study? What is little Johnny interested in? My boy likes kites, so all we do is read books. He's 3. All we do, I'm like, my head could explode how many kite books I read. Everything's kites, kites, kites. We build kites. We read about kites. We learn about kites. I don't care, it's what he wants to learn. We draw kites. We write stories about kites. Fine with me. I don't care what the Department of Education has to say about it. Children should pursue their interest relentlessly, and you should give them the tools and the time to do that. You guide them, you challenge them, and they should learn how to operate in the world through experience. So you start to show them different things they can do. You start to show them how they can interact in the world, how they could turn their interest into viewing parties and things that other people want to participate in, and they could sell products and they could offer services, and they learn and understand how to conquer their world through trial and error. There's not a curriculum to teach critical thinking. It's a philosophy. It's a way of life. It's a way of education. It's the way you do the scientific method. You read primary documents. You grade your own English papers. You follow your children's interest. You read the Bible. Or if you're Muslim, you have them read the Quran. Or if you're Jewish, you have them read the Torah. This is great. I was just thinking about how I would like to teach homeschool group thing if possible. You find people in your area. By the way, I am in the process of putting together a tool for parents that is going to revolutionize the way people homeschool, and it is going to bring people together in a way in which 100 years ago no one could have ever imagined. We're going to take the public education system, crumple it into a ball, and hit it with a sledgehammer. Because when I'm done with what I've been working on, and I don't expect it to be too much longer, I'm so excited about it. I don't want to talk too much about it because I'd like to put it together a little more before I start to unveil what it is. But let's just say everyone's going to be a little bit more empowered with their homeschooling sometime in the next few months. I'm very excited about it. Children should be encouraged to think about morality. Now, I'm a Christian, so my foundation is in Christianity. So my 3-year-old and we read the Bible. And if you're a Christian, I would say to do the same. If you're whatever, like I said, if you're Muslim, you read the Quran, you give them your foundation. And then as children grow older, you have them also read the other religious texts of the world and everything, Greek mythology, everything. And you have them study history. And you start to you challenge them to think about human nature. And just like they form their own unique understanding of history, you challenge them every year to form their own unique understanding of human nature, of what drives people, what moves people. How do you get people's attention? How do you win a crowd? How do you walk into a business meeting filled with people who don't want anything to do with what you have to offer and convince them that what you have to offer benefits them? You could have them read How to Win Friends and Influence People by, is it Daniel Carnegie? I forget his name, by Carnegie. Very good book. But you have them form their own unique theories. As they turn into middle schoolers and teenagers, once a year you have them do a project in which they think critically about what it means to be an honorable man, how a man or a woman or an honorable woman, how they should conduct themselves, what it means to be moral. And every year you have them do this project again and again because it's something you want them to think about. You do the same thing with what it means to be successful. You ask them, you have them do a project, have them write about it, have them put together anything. DePlaxton, hey bro, talking a lot about critical thinking here. Teaching children how to be critical thinkers. I love your post, thank you. Yeah, I was really excited about my post today because it really gets into the crux of how I believe children should be educated. And it goes back to everything. When they study science, they do the scientific method. They do science. They make their own observations about the world. They break things into categories. They analyze things. Yes, John Taylor Gatto. Every parent should read John Taylor Gatto. Weapons of Mass Destruction, Dumbing Us Down. Some of the books have changed my life. I read John Taylor Gatto one time. I said, I want nothing to do with the public school system. And here I am. I always got to be a rebel, trying to revolutionize the way people educate children. And my family says, they said, Brett, why can't you just do mainstream things? I said, because I hate it. I can't be in the public school system. Years back, before I decided the direction I wanted to take my life, it's like right when I graduated and stuff, and I did an interview for South Carolina, and I put out a resume, got this interview for a school in South Carolina, history teaching position, and I blew this guy away, as you could imagine. Not to toot my own horn, but I could be rather impressive when I'm talking about education, even back then. So I'm doing the interview with this guy, and he's blown away, and we're talking about education. He kept me on way longer than he had originally planned. And then right at the end of the interview, I said, if I come and work for you, I'm going to be uprooting my life. So I'm just going to put it out on the table because I'm not for everyone. And at the time I had started FFR News, which, you know, when you first wake up, I was like, I'm going to wake the world. Now I just show children, now I just show parents how they could prevent their children from ever going to sleep. Much better strategy. But I had this website for ffrnews.com. I no longer have it. And I said, just check out my website before you make any decisions about hiring me, because I'm not going to come to South Carolina just to get fired in a day because you don't like my views. And he never did call me back. Yeah, no, the corporate system, the public system's not for me. But critical thinking, teaching your children to be critical thinkers, that is a way of life. And that is, as parent educators, we need to train ourselves not to focus on what our children know. Sally, I need you to memorize this information because in 5th grade you have to pass the standardized test. Bullshit. You need Sally to have an intimate relationship with the process of attaining knowledge. The process of doing research and reading books and thinking critically and analyzing information and doing the scientific method and following her interest and interacting, right? Not learning business through some professor that's never done business, but interacting in the real world, doing business with real people. Are you in the Northeast? At least for now. There's a politician in South Africa, my favorite politician in South Africa. I think he's like of the Communist Party. And he was doing this interview or a speech. And he goes like this. I am not advocating for the killing of white people, at least for now. I always play that for my wife. She's like, oh, my favorite politician. At least for now. I digress. Yeah, my next post today is going to be, what is it going to be about? I did the feminism one yesterday. Oh, you know what I wanted to talk about? Real quick, and then I'll go. Real quick. Yeah, that guy's a maniac. So, I posted yesterday about it's okay to talk to your daughters about infertility, right? And as parents, I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer that you should talk to your children about having families and what real wealth is. And that, you know, fertility is in crisis in the West in general. You know, why is it in crisis? Well, they convince girls to put off having children until they're in their 30s. And in order to do that, they get them to take birth control pills that basically shut off their uterus. Sorry about that, I had a call coming in. That shut off their uterus for about a decade at a time. And then they wonder why, oh, now I'm 30 years old and I can't have children, and they're upset. You got men who are addicted to pornography, right? It's just disgusting in this country. Children as young as 10 years old have unlimited access to pornography, which, by the way, if the politicians wanted to shut that off, all they'd have to do is put the same checks and balances that they use for online gambling, and it would greatly reduce the amount of pornography children had access to. But they don't do it because it's weaponized against the people, right? They want you infertile. That's why they promote this promiscuous culture. That's why they want young people out not getting married, right? They convinced girls that it was a good thing to put out, which took away the incentive from young boys to get married, right? Because in the past, it was, quite frankly, harder for young people to get laid, so they would get married earlier, they would have big families. But as soon as girls start putting out, well, that made it easy for young boys who also were getting the same messaging. Okay, you know, just wait forever to have children. So, you know, you get like, I have friends that had girlfriends for like 10 years and they don't propose, and it's tragic. And they keep their girlfriends, they use them as a you-know-what receptacle, and they keep them on birth control and sterile for, they keep them sterile for 10 years, right? And then they turn 30-something years old and they can't have children and they're upset about it. Well, that's what the system does. So, I promote good people having big families, because the more good people that have big families, well, the better the world will be for my children. So it's just a no-brainer to me. So I was just pointing out, it's okay to talk to your daughters about fertility, whatnot. And you get a lot of people, like, I find human nature very interesting, right? Talk about forming a theory of human nature. You'll get a lot of people who come in and they're like, well, I had a baby at 38, so it's perfectly fine to wait. First of all, I'm very happy for you. I think that's great that you had a baby at 38. I hope you have many more. But the whole point of it is what is good to teach young people, right? You're more of the exception than the rule. And when you tell young people that they should spend their 20s getting drunk and doing nothing productive, not building their businesses, not building their families, you're hurting young people. Young people should be taught the truth that you are unlikely to have a big family if you wait until your 30s, right? Right? You're not likely to have 4 or 5 children. And of course there are people who are exceptions to that rule. So it's very interesting to see that. Like, you'll get that a lot from the feminist crowd. Or like, how dare you tell me how to live my life? Well, you're telling me that I can't have an opinion about telling you how to live your life. So you're a paradox all on your own. All right? You want to go out and get drunk until your 30s and not have a family? That's fine. Well, I'm going to promote family to people who share my values, right? If you want to have a bunch of abortions and not have children and support every movement that the mainstream media tells you to support and cover your breathing hole, that's fine. All the power to you. I hope you do that and enjoy that. And as you have abortions and don't have children, I'm going to have lots of children. I'm going to promote family to like-minded people who also have lots of children. And then I'm going to show them how to homeschool their children to think critically. Those children are going to, each family has 4 or 5 children. They're going to grow up critical thinkers, homeschooled, brilliant, have a bunch of children of their own. And who do you think wins the future in this scenario? That's why I think it's so funny when they're like, oh my God, the New World Order. Oh my God, look what they're doing. I don't know much about much, but a power structure that promotes its followers to do things that, like, abort their children, not have families, take shots that may or may not do bad things to you. I don't know if they've thought that through long term. I'm going to roll with the plan of Jesus, be fruitful and multiply. So have big families, encourage your children to do the same, and make sure you homeschool them, and you will do very, very well, and the future is very, very bright. And this little blip on the radar the last year, this will be a distant memory in 20 years when all of our children grow up, and they will be strong. You better believe it. All right, guys, I got to go do some stuff. I will see you when I'm looking for you. Oh, go to my website. Do me a favor, www.classicallearner.com, and just sign up for my email list. I'm also Classical Learner on Gab, Classic Learner on Twitter, and I'm sure some other stuff I'm forgetting. All right, guys. See you when I'm looking at you.